All right. Thank you, everyone, for joining us for this very special March 2026 edition of BrainX Community Live. All
Yes.
right. So we formed this community, the BrainX community, more than 7 years ago, with the idea that there is a lot of research and development happening in this area, and we wanted to share the scientific information with everyone. It has grown to be 8,000 plus members. The photo over there that you see is from the very first meeting that we held. And at that time, we were doing it in person, but then we had quickly switched to Zoom. We also have a very active LinkedIn group, which has a community of 3,000 plus members sharing a lot of scientific information, upcoming conferences, events. So please join us if you are on LinkedIn and share that information. And of course, we have our website, brainxai.org, which is the repository of many of the much of the content, which is all available to you for free, and we do these monthly live sessions. So just to give you an overview of the website, if you land on our homepage, you'll find all the latest updates right on the homepage and all the different sections that are there. There is our Connect segment where we put information about our monthly sessions. And we have our own YouTube channel where if you miss these sessions, you can go and see the recordings for these. As I mentioned, we have a very active LinkedIn group, so please join us on that. We have a Learn section where we provide curated list of scholarly activity. It could be books, it could be journal publications, the journals where you might want to submit your research work, and courses which you might want to take. So we provide you links to these directly from there, and you can filter it by the healthcare specialty of your interest or your choice too. We have the data section that provides us with the largest repository of links to open source data sets, which is again filterable. So you can filter it by the healthcare specialty that you want and find the open source data set link over there. Go to the data set and get your research and development work going. We have our podcast series. We're going to revive it soon, where we feature or have featured many of the visionaries from across the world, the researchers who have done a lot of work in this field, sharing their experiences. We also have our meeting and conferences section, so you can go over there on our website and find the latest upcoming meeting or conference that you might want to go and attend, or you might want to go and present your work at. But our feature theme for this session is about our annual year in review. And I'm joined by Ruthvik Edara, Dr. Avneesh Khare, and Anirban Bhattacharyya is going to join us shortly. And we're going to talk about our annual feature, which is year in review. So this publication, you can find it on medRxiv. The list or the link is available through our website. I'll be happy to share it in a bit too through the chat. But we have been doing this annual review to provide curated information about what's happening with artificial intelligence in healthcare. So if you see in 2019, when we started doing this review, we had 3,351 publications, but we saw at that time that this is likely to increase. There was such a growing interest in this field, we could foretell that this is going to increase. So we started looking at a with a very simple search methodology that is using PubMed, using terms like machine learning or artificial intelligence. And just for the prior year, doing the search in PubMed and curating the list of publications. So just through that search, you can see what the yield of these publications was, and you can see the trends. We were right about our gut feeling, where the number of publications since 2019 at somewhere around 3,000 has grown to 49,000 plus now. And this is just through one search engine. But again, it gives you a good overview, a good idea about what's happening across. I don't think you need to to do a scoping review of this kind, I don't think you necessarily need more data than this. We do acknowledge the limitations of our publication too, that we might miss a few publications which might be very, very important. But it gives you an idea of what's happening in this area of research. So as I said, we have been doing this for some time. The search methodology has remained the same through the PubMed search. This year, it yielded, looking at 2025's publications, 49,394 publications, and through that we screened, and I'll explain the methodology for that, 3,366 publications. So we term that as mature publications. Mature publications are those which represent experiments, which represent original research work that has been done by the researchers across the globe. Viewpoints are important, editorials are important, reviews are important, but what we want to focus on is the original research experimental work that is being done in this field, so that we understand what are the researchers looking at, what models are they using, what data are they using. Those are the questions that we wanted to address, which would not be answered through reviews and viewpoints. So out of these mature publications, there were 291 that were excluded. Whenever you do any kind of search, there will always be certain publications that will come out that represent either errors in search, or not directed towards what you wanted to search. So 291 were excluded, not too different from the prior years. That is, the ratio, the percentage is not too different from that. We also excluded systematic reviews because systematic reviews were very, very important, but they are a mix of experiments. So it's hard to infer from them what was the model that was used, because it's a potpourri. So there are different models being used, and also represent a lot of different questions that are being addressed. But they are available through us. If you want to get the list, we are happy to share with you. So just contact me and I'll be happy to share that list with you too. After that, we were left with 2,966 publications, which again, if you think about, in the year 2019, our total search had yielded 3,000 some publications. Now we are having 2,966 publications. We just represent experiments, also that something that we call the mature research. And if you're wondering why we call it mature, it's because we use a model that was published in Lancet a few years ago. The model is a BERT network, and it sifts through publications, and it filters for this original research work, which is likely to have some real world impact. That's the key question that that model tries to address. And it has worked very, very well for us in many years. As you can see, there were a few exclusions, but for majority part, it works very, very well. So we have used this for since 2019 publications, and from that we have been doing this further analysis of what healthcare specialty do these publications belong to, what kind of models did they use, and what kind of data they were using. So again, going back to mature publications, or the publications that represent experiments or original research work, uh, you will find in 2019 the total number was just 89. So a lot of reviews. I think that we're still in a learning stage, not as much in an experimental stage, but you can clearly see the growing trends with the amount of research work that is going on since then, and it has grown exponentially. So key questions that we try to address through our publication. The first one is, which healthcare specialty does this publication belong to? And again, these are done manually. So these annotations are done manually. So you can assume some subjectivity. Many of the publications sometimes don't belong to just one specialty, but they might overlap. But we look at which group did it, what was the intent to classify it for one specialty or another. And imaging or radiology has been a front runner for an exceptional amount of time from the very beginning. They have been the front runners in the number of total publications, and also in the number of mature publications. Uh, There are certain publications that don't belong to one particular specialty. They may be related to uh, patient use, billing, documentation, revenue cycle, etc., and research itself using AI. They are clubbed into administrative group, and then there is another group called the education one, which transgresses all the different specialities, where people are researching AI applications for education in healthcare. So those are the two groups where you might find a mix from different specialities, but again, a lot of research work being done in those two groups. What's interesting also is that some of the front runners in the past were a lot image based. So if you think about ophthalmology and their studies related to looking at retina and application of AI for discovery of diseases, that continues to grow. Same way, head and neck, which has a lot of publications, even from dental as a subspecialty or a separate specialty. We put it together in head and neck, but a lot of publications related to image-based studies. Same way, gastroenterology, cardiology, some of these have been heavily image-based, which continues. But what's changed over here is what I'll share in a moment with the newer models. But all that continues to grow. But also, I think an opportunity for some of the specialties that you see lower down uh, to learn from these top AI and healthcare specialties, which have also built resources for themselves, either having dedicated conferences, releasing open source data sets, providing educational resources. A lot of the resources that are there at the bottom of this table can probably learn from the top specialties and see how they can promote this research and development work for their own healthcare specialty. Again, another way to look at it, the Manhattan over here, the skyscraper that you see right in the middle is the radiology or the imaging one. Year over year, it has grown. So this is looking at it year over year since 2019. A lot of healthcare specialties have been growing, learning from radiology, learning from their applications, and promoting research work within. But the growth has been across the board, not just related to one or two specialties, but you can see over here the research trends are across all healthcare specialties. Now, what has changed since last year, and this is pivotal, because till 2024, if you go back and look at our prior year reviews, you will find that deep learning was pretty much the dominant model. Uh, since 2024, with coming up of foundation models, it's actually the large language models which have started dominating the research work. So most of the researchers are now looking at use of large language models because of a few different reasons. I think one, I believe, is AI through the use of ChatGPT and its interface has become more accessible to researchers. So just through the web interface or through the application, a lot more researchers can use AI, because previously it used to be for a lot of geeks or nerds like us to use various platforms and hard code a lot of these solutions. But now, with access to ChatGPT, DeepSeek, whichever model you are using, Gemini, they have their interfaces, and people are uploading their data onto them and doing various experiments for language. And I'll share some of those examples as we go through this. So it's both accessibility, interest, and of course, there is a lot of funding for that. That I believe is driving a lot of this exciting work related to large language models. Uh, the deep learning continues to be heavily utilized, as you can see next. The third group, which is clubbed as AI General, is the group that consists of various models. A lot of those are proprietary models, so they're not disclosed clearly what kind of model they used, but is a very exciting group because a lot of studies in this group represents experiments that have been done on proprietary models which are undergoing validation. stage. So it actually represents some more mature work where you're taking a proprietary model developed by a company or developed by a research group, and then you're doing an external validation. And that's we don't know the model just from the abstract because we primarily look at the title and the abstract for screening. So we can't decide one way or another without looking at the details. So we club it under AI general, but it represents a lot of use of those models. Machine learning, the traditional or the classical machine learning continues to be utilized. These are random forests, your SVM models, your traditional machine learning models. It does continue to be utilized. But what is amazing is to see the next bar, which is the multimodal models. Now, that is competing with the classical machine learning models. And these are the models that is annotated as FMMM in this figure. These are the models which have capabilities of handling different types of data. So it could be image data, it could be text data or audio data, but these models can handle different types of data at the same time. It's very exciting that beyond just the classical large language models, these multimodal models are being trialed for use, which actually represents more of the real world scenarios where you're using different data types to do your research. And then again, the other models that are there, the vision models or the classical NLP and some of the statistical work that has been done, those are not necessarily models, but it's surveys that have been done on this that are represented over there. So, what about data? So, if you again go back to 2024 or actually prior to 2024, imaging as a data type used to be the dominant one. More than 70% of the studies, 80, 90% of the studies used to be using image as the data type. But again, 2024 brought this pivotal shift with the introduction of or the use of large language models for research, where the data type for text has been growing pretty exponentially. Now, what's interesting also is last year, even the audio as a data type was 0.6% or so. Even that is growing. So people are even able to use because of these amazing multimodal models or transformer based models, audio as a data, and able to build these models. So across the spectrum, if you see for different healthcare specialties, they continue to use image as a data type, especially because the field is dominated by image-based research and those healthcare specialties. But text data is being utilized more and more, is empowering more researchers across different healthcare specialties to grow and develop their own models. What about foundation models or LLMs themselves? So we started curating information about them in the last year or so. And we wanted to see, are the healthcare research trends using foundation models similar to overall AI trends? And here you can see for different healthcare specialties, for the two tasks, which is administrative tasks, which includes the different research, like using LLMs for research work or for billing or for patient communication, those have dominated. Those kind of research work have that kind of research work has dominated. Similarly for education. Now you might argue that that also these two groups also represent contributions from all the different healthcare specialties. That's why they look dominant. That's a fair criticism of our methodology. But these two tasks, which go across all healthcare specialties, have been dominant in a task focus area uh, since the introduction of LLMs, and a lot of use cases that are coming to bedside near you are based on these two. But what you'll also observe is the traditional healthcare specialties such as imaging, head and neck, ophthalmology, they all are leveraging their prior experiences, their prior resources to continue to expand their research using foundation models and not just stay limited to the classical deep learning models or the machine learning models that they've used for years. So just because they have been in this field, it's a very exciting time for them, and you can see like they continue to dominate. And those healthcare specialties which were not necessarily focused as much in the use of AI in healthcare, they continue to lag in this world too. But everybody is excited about it across the board. Everybody is trialing these models out for their research work. We share the data set, so you can get access to our work and the data set. It's available as open source. That's our commitment to everyone, and you can already see, like in a short period of time, there are already 33 downloads of this data set. Hopefully, others are able to expand on the analysis that we have done and share more information about it. I'm going to take a deeper dive into some of the studies that we cite in our research work. So, again, this spotlight is about the use of multimodal foundation models. And in this particular paper, this is an example of a generative foundation model which integrates both the electronic health record data and also the imaging data to address some of the challenges. As you can see, the applications, they talk about the different applications that can be developed out of it. So again, this kind of research work is emerging more and more. As you saw, the use of multimodal foundation models is growing. And that is one pathway a lot of healthcare specialties are taking, and I expect it to grow beyond just the use of traditional classical large language models. These multimodal foundation models represent an opportunity for us to replicate real world use of data. Because when we think about in real world taking care of patients, we don't just ignore different data types, but we use all different data sources and do that. And these models are empowering us to replicate the same. So this is an important aspect of these. What we also, as I mentioned previously, talked about the AI general group. This is an example of that, where somebody had developed this EndoLab model, which is a vision-based model, and it is for endoscopy, for classification in lap cholecystectomy images. Here, they are doing a validation study of that. So, this is an example of now more maturity in some of these healthcare specialties, where they're not just developing these models and performing internal validations and all, they're also doing external validations, but also sometimes multi-center validations. And this is really exciting because this field is really is growing and maturing up fast. And through these validations, through these multi-center validations, sometimes or prospective validations, we learn about what's going to come to our bedside. We also learn about which ones falter when we try to apply them to bedside, and where the gaps are in these, either the model development or the application of those. So there is a lot to learn from this, but a lot of this research foretells what's going to make through as a sustained effort in implementation of AI in healthcare research work. As I mentioned previously, a lot of specialties like imaging or radiology, which were very focused in this area for quite some time, they have now grown to not only use their traditional convolutional neural network or deep learning based models, but they are using these multimodal models too now. And this is an example of the same, where they used GPT-4 multimodal model version for radiological image analysis. You can also use image plus text using these models. So the growing power of AI that can be used in this field. Here's a great example of use of foundation model for education. So, a lot of research work that has gone in the recent times has been about trialing large language models or these foundation models or generative AI models for evaluating against human performance or clinician performance. But there is a growing amount of research work that is being done to use these models for improving delivery of education. So people spend a lot of time trying to write question and answers for various different exams. Those exams have been tested, or exam questions have been tested against clinicians. But this is different here. Researchers built the system for question generation, verification, and refinement for USMLE style questions. So to generate questions rather than just test them against humans. And that's a great use case because we spent so much time trying to generate these questions uh, for either tests or for knowledge assessment, and is a great use case that is being trialed out. I do want to give a lot of credit to dentistry as a healthcare specialty or a subspecialty, where they have been using deep learning models for quite some time. They've been using it on the dental images, the X-rays that they do, the cephalometry that they perform. But now they are also using these foundation models or language models now. And in this particular case, they didn't just use one, they used multiple models to understand implantology, like the dentistry as a specialty uses a lot of dental implants. So here they wanted to evaluate the different case scenarios for dental implants, and using multiple foundation models, they were trialing them out for the use case. So dentistry, which resides within head and neck in our classification, has really done an amazing job in leveraging AI models of all different kinds for their research and development work. Here's another exciting application, and these are the trends that we are seeing now. So that's why we selected some of these applications in our manuscript too, to showcase where the world is going, moving away from classical machine learning models uh, only, or deep learning models only, but to using some of these very powerful models. So here, videos. Traditionally, videos have been very challenging. They require a lot of compute resource. The architecture using some of the traditional models was harder to implement, but now with some of these models, you can. So here is an example where ChatGPT was used for by orthopedic surgeons to evaluate the quality of rotator cuff surgery patient information. So they're trying to educate patients on using some of these videos, but then they were using ChatGPT to assess the video quality in this particular publication. So amazing work being done. And again, a similar effort where you see trying to improve patient communication, which, as I said, was grouped. These kind of studies were grouped under administrative tasks. A lot of different healthcare specialties are trying this. Can we improve patient communication, which I think is an amazing use case by leveraging foundation models or generative AI models? And in this particular example, they were the researchers were trying to use GPT-4 to simplify the cancer radiology reports to improve doctor-patient communication, because sometimes they're hard to interpret. Think about patients according to AHRQ. Most of the patients can read at fifth or sixth grade level. So can you bring all this complex information in an easier format to them, in a learnable format for our patients? An amazing use case, and also done way more efficiently than the traditional model. So that's why people are excited about using these to improve healthcare. I'm really excited about similar use cases too. And of course, the agents are coming. So in 2025, in rest of the world, we saw the introduction of AI agents. AI agents are the frameworks through which these large language models or foundation models or generative AI models are getting deployed. And this particular research work, I think, is a start. There weren't many publications related to AI agents, but I anticipate, or we anticipate, that these are likely to grow in the near future. And that's why I think this one is a great publication where they used a multi-agent scenario. So not just one agent, but multiple agents powered by large language models to optimize order sets. An amazing use case. I can tell you, as the former quality officer for my department, we spent so much time, weeks and months together, trying to optimize order sets sometimes. The use of these agents is an amazing use case, and hopefully we can use them to make this more effective, these order sets more effective and more efficient, but a great use case. And these agents are likely to see application in a uh, whole host of areas in the near future. Again, some of the limitations that we have had, these are consistent to prior years. We have kept our search limited. Partly, it's also because we want to uh, be able to measure these trends year over year in the consistent manner. So we accept that this is a limitation. I'm sure other search engines might yield some very good publications too, which we might have missed. But I think we have enough number of publications to give us an idea of what's going on where. Also, it is not possible to perform manual evaluation of all the publications. That's why if you see us leveraging AI to sort through these publications and then doing it is much easier. And again, that's why the limitation or our limited approach to using just one search engine, it's yielding enough number of publications for us. And again, there are so many other factors that going to be, we call it mature publications based on the publication in Lancet, their model that we are using. So this bird-based approach might have some of its limitations. We have also explored in the past many other ways, like should we use some kind of a citation count or a journal impact factor to look at these publications differently. The challenge is we want to get these publications and this review out to you by February. If you bring it out later in the year, it loses its meaning. It's not as useful to all of you. So that's why we try to get it in your hands as soon as possible. Uh, if we were to use citations, the citations for earlier in the year, as you can imagine, will be more for publications compared to those publications that get published towards the end of the year. So I don't think we have looked into it, but it's not the best way to do it. If we just go with high impact journal, then we can miss some of the publications which might be very good are represented over here from other journals. So that also we have looked at. So we have systematically thought about these our other approaches. We accept our limitations and continue to provide you with a review which is hopefully pretty thorough and exhaustive, uh, but again at a scoping level. So, key takeaways, these research and publications related to AI in healthcare continue to grow exponentially year over year, as you have seen. Foundation model based research, especially now using multimodal models, is rapidly expanding. Uh, from healthcare specialty point of view, imaging and image-based specialties still continue to dominate. They have built the infrastructure within. They have grown the expertise within. They have built data sets, so they continue to leverage those a lot for a lot of other specialties to learn from. Since 2024 and the introduction of Chat GPT a year or so prior, the increased use of text data or even audio data or other types of data is very exciting to see because now we have these capabilities to use it. It's also the ability of a lot more researchers to use large language models and be able to use this kind of data or other data is expanding. Trials of proprietary models, as I mentioned previously, which are in the AI general category, a lot of those are validation trials. They continue to grow. So we learn from those which models which work well, probably in the lab, so-called lab. When we apply them, we can learn from the challenges, and we will learn to implement these models in a better way too. So that's very, very exciting that going beyond traditional research, we are seeing validations occurring. We are learning from implementation, the gaps or successes, and that's very, very exciting. Administrative tasks, as I mentioned, research, education, or other key areas for research that continue to grow. It's very exciting to see all these use cases which people are experimenting on beyond and contributing from across all the different healthcare specialties. Of course, a whole host of content that is available through BrainX community. But I'm gonna invite Dr. Edara. I'm gonna invite Avneesh, Dr. Avneesh Khare, and Dr. Anirban to join us in a quick discussion. Just give me one moment. All right. And let me see. Oh, Anirban is here too. Hi, everyone.
Hey,
All right, guys. So, what were your thoughts? Let me ask you this question. So, all three of you were part of this research work. Uh, Ruthvik, as the first author and somebody who took the lead on this work, want to get from you what was your experience sorting through these publications and learning from the research work of many others.
yeah, I think I had a very nice experience going through this, and this was my first time going through such a huge number of papers as well. And one thing that stood out was the growth has been pretty exponential year on year from what you guys have done before this. And it also gives you a very broad overview of how the field is going. And I have to say, there were so many interesting use cases that I had a lot of ideas on how I could shape my research or what are the other things I could try out as well.
Avnish, you've been doing this for some time. So how about you? What were your
Yeah,
thoughts?
yeah, Piyush. So I, first of all, an excellent summarization of the entire study. So I think now people have an idea of what happened this year. But being my sixth year, I was just counting while you were presenting. So this is my sixth time participating in this activity, and things have changed a lot. Like before, we used to have those subspecialty sections where we used to review those kind of papers in a particular specialty. But then you saw that exponential explosion was happening, and then we went to the maturity algorithm where we tried to filter out mature algorithms. So I believe that uh, things are going exponential. I'm worried how we will be repeating this in times to come. I think we will need some kind of a new added on methodology. You mentioned one of them was agents, like a panel of agents which can maybe work alongside us. One thing I would like to add, I presented recently to a critical care physician group, and I only looked at the critical care part of our research, and there were 21 papers, and out of those 21 papers, 9 were large language model or text based. From that's a shift from tabular kind of environment for critical care. So 50% of studies are now large language model based, and even in specialties like radiology, where I was expecting while annotating to see image as a data input, I could see a lot of text and a lot of studies on report generation, although they are classified under imaging, but then they are related to the text part of the imaging as a specialty. Really nice experience working with the team, and looking forward to next year. And really, I think it's the best way to improve something is to measure it first. And you can't improve something which you can't measure. So this activity acts like a measurement for us at the start of the year, so that we know what is happening in research and how we can improve and fill the gap areas. So that was the idea.
That's great. No, thank you. Anirban, how about you? Like, what was your experience? What stood out for you?
So, Piyush, first of all, thanks for doing this. This is incredible effort. You've done this year over year, and you've presented it so nicely. This breaks down you know, the state of literature. So, a few things first, right? I mean, obviously, the I think some things are still the same, right? Let's go that because we haven't talked about that quite a bit. Is simplicity of data. What is available and how we are processing it. Obviously, we have more capable tools in our hand now. But if you look at it, administrative data, imaging, they still lead the pack of kind of models that were or kind of initiatives that were being taken. So that just tells us, critical care data on the other hand is a very messy data still. So I think the root problem of all this is, how do we need to go back and increase the quality of data that we have. So that's number one takeaway for me. The number two, of course, is the shift that we are seeing that is going towards the future, right? Uh, but the one word I will say is, despite all this, if you look at the maturity percentage, it's still 7%, from almost 50,000. It's almost doubled from last year, the number of publication. Maturity is still in single digits. So, lots of rooms to improve there. But now coming to the good side, right? The good side, of course, is, machine learning models are for the first time I'm seeing a dip in the machine learning. Large language models have really taken a growth, right? And then obviously the agentic AI, I'm super excited about the agentic AI and how, that will kind of move in the near future. I'm thinking that we'll see an explosion of that in your next year in review that will happen in 27. But overall, again, a very good perspective of where the literature is today. And again, thank you for leading this effort.
Yeah, I think to add to that, one thing that really excites me is that I think there is the reason why you're seeing a growing number of publications is also because there's a growing community of researchers. So one of my observations through this was that because ChatGPT or these other foundation models, generative AI models, have interfaces that anybody can interact with, so you can just upload the data and analyze that. It has opened up this field for a lot more researchers than traditional. Like if you look at the prior ones, you would need a Jupyter notebook, a Colab, or you have to program a lot of things. A lot of this expansive research work is through researchers who had never traditionally used these classical AI models, but now are able to use these ideas that they have for applications, which have also probably now, which are also probably getting more and more conceived because of these models and how these interfaces are available to interact with them. So it's really exciting because I think we do need a more diverse community of researchers in this area. It needs to grow across healthcare specialties. People have brilliant ideas across the world. But at the end, the goal is to impact patient lives. So a bigger group of patients are likely to be helped through this research. Well, and that's really, really exciting to me. We talked about the different types of models, and Anirban, you talked about agents. I'm going to start with you. Like you briefly talked about the different models and the data type and application. What's your key takeaways from that?
I think, the kind of data, obviously quality of data is a different story, but the kind of data, right, whether be it imaging, be it text, I think that's no longer the challenge, right? I mean, for the first time, we are seeing that multimodal, is big. So kind of data is no longer the challenge here. Uh, and then, as you said, right, interfaces. So a lot of us, as you said, number of researchers have increased, and maybe these guys were always interested, but just they didn't know how to do it. But now with ChatGPT, Gemini, etc., they have an interface or maybe even a tool that they could, link and use very quickly. So, these to me are the two very interesting takeaways. The third one, again, as I said, low risk tasks like administrative or, tasks where data is very easily available. Those are still the greatest targets. So, we may not have to build a model on something that is, you know, uh, trying to solve a big problem, but smaller problems that are may not have a direct patient impact, but very good administrative impact. We could think about those things a lot.
Avneesh, before I go to you, there's a question in there like we have proprietary model. Do we need ethical clearances? So just to clarify, when you look at these research with these proprietary models, uh, uh, pretty much everybody has to go through their institutional review board or IRB clearance. And again, when you go through a lot of these publications, just like we have, they do have to obtain clearances from their institution. Now, the regulation varies from institution to institution and sometimes from country to country, I would say, because this research work represents a global community of researchers. So those might be slightly different, but yes, that's a great question. You do need clearances. You want to make sure that you're doing this research work in an ethical manner. Avnish, what stood out to you or for you? Sorry, you're on mute.
Oops. So yeah, so I was saying that of course multimodality was one thing which stood out to me, which was a little different from last previous reviews. We used to have only single kind of data, but this time we had some studies in multiple specialities working on multimodality. Then second was education as a category coming up in one of the most like top branches utilizing AI and doing studies in AI. That was a big thing for me. Uh, and I think I keep going back to the thing that it's exploding, it's exponentially increasing. So I'm worried about next versions, like how we will be handling this kind of maybe onslaught of research. Mature studies are definitely going to improve, although the proportion is still same. But the immature studies are also increasing, so mature studies are bound to maybe double or triple in times to come. So those 2 3 things come back to my mind again and again.
Yeah. Ruthvik.
Yeah, I think I want to reiterate on what you and Anirban were talking about, how basically LLMs have reduced the barrier of entry into research. Because I remember my first time doing imaging, I had to spend so long just debugging code and making sure everything ran. But right now you can just put it into ChatGPT and you have a research question, you can get an answer as well. So I think that is true. And also to link that with what Avneesh was saying, that is also the reason why there's more immature publications is there's not good methodology and people easier access also means more people trying out stuff. So I think that's there. And another thing was, I think the more that we have more proprietary models is a good thing because that means people are more confident in creating products. So we're coming out of maybe the entire research phase and trying more into actually building stuff that we can use in real systems. So I think that's super cool that a lot of these people are trying to make it work.
Yeah, I'm wondering what if next year when we screen and we have 100,000 publications,
Yes.
the question that Avnish is bringing up, and we have to manually sort around like 6,000 publications with a commitment to bring this to people by February. And yeah, we might have to build some agents, but they will still need to be supervised. So for the audience, we have actually tried various different models to avoid manual classification, and the results using those have been somewhere between 60 to 80%. So we have tried BERT in the past to do this classification. We have tried the GPT models. We have even fine-tuned these models, but they at best get us to 70-80%, which to us has not been good enough to do this. Partly because there is some amount of subjectivity involved in this too. So say if there is uh, cancer, colon cancer research using CT scan images, who do you classify it to? Are you going to provide it to imaging, or are you going to provide it to colon research? We take a little bit deeper dive into this. We look at what was the purpose of that research. and which group was doing it? Was it the oncologists who were doing it, or was it the imaging people? What was the context of that research to be able to classify into one or the other healthcare specialty? So that's why there's some nuance, just like Avneesh said in the chat, to this, and we do want to provide that human oversight. But yeah, it's very exciting times that we are living in. All right. I'm going to ask the last question. I'm going to start with Ruthvik, who was the first author for all this work and actually took the heaviest load of work in this. What would your message be to all the uh, people, all the researchers who are interested in AI healthcare research work?
Um, I think one main thing I would like to see more is real world multi-center testing. A lot of these studies were also done on a single center or a single population. So having research that is more generalizable to multiple populations would be very nice to see, and that would really solidify if it works or not. And another thing that I think really people should focus on is emphasis on human and AI interaction. Because end of the day, sure, your model works, but does it actually make the life of a physician easier, right? Or does it just add to the already burdensome process of healthcare? So evaluating that and making sure it fits in well would be really important.
Yeah, I love your first comment because, the more I think about it, I interact with so many people, just like all of us do across the world. And everybody is very excited about AI healthcare research. A lot of clinicians or researchers think about it as just programming. That do I need to, the next thing they think about, do I need to learn coding? AI is complex. Do I need to start learning about the equations and the models itself? And my message many times to them is, just like we do validation trials for drugs or devices, it's a great opportunity. There are a lot of people who are needed to help annotate the data, validate the data. So even if you don't want to learn programming, even if that's a barrier for you, even if learning about the models and all these AI techniques is a barrier for you, there is still so much to be done in this field to make these models get to bedside, and you can be part of AI in healthcare research and help it grow. And that actually is very meaningful because you will be the one who will be telling us through these validations what works and what doesn't work. So don't just restrict yourself or leave this area because you think that I don't want to get into programming. These models are very complex. Don't worry about that. I think there is a great opportunity for us to contribute through this. So great point, Ruthvik. Anirban, what do you think? What's your key take home message? Of course, we're going to talk about datathons next time. So our next webinar coming up in April is going to be on datathon, and Anirban just led us through the first ever AI and healthcare datathon in India, and he's doing another one in April at Mayo Clinic. The link to that is available through our website. We are also going to Panama later in April to do, I guess, their first
There first.
healthcare datathon over there. Uh, and to top it all, Anirban has once again led a team at the European Society of Intensive Care Medicine to win the datathon over there. The third time, Anirban?
Yeah, winning is third time.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So, yes, that's coming. But what's your key takeaway for AI and healthcare researchers? Maybe they can join us for one of these datathons to get their career started in this.
Absolutely. I got my career started like this. So, I mean, this is a very fun way. And, if there is enough appetite, we could actually create a datathon near you, wherever you are. I would love to have that. Uh, but, key takeaway. So I think a few things, and, without trying to sound the alarm bells. Uh, Overall, this is great progress, right? We want to see progress, and we want to see growth, and we want to see maturity, and all of this is happening. What else can we do? And as you guys were saying, talking about these 100,000 papers next year, how are we going to review? question is what are the other question which I was thinking is what are we going to review as well, right? And a lot of it is going into maturity. So then are we also going to review, how uh, these are making an impact at the bedside? One of the other things is our clinicians trained, to handle when we have an onslaught of 100,000 models or whatever. How are we going to train the clinicians? Datathon's one of them, but how are we going to train our clinicians to stay on top of these things? And then, of course, the ROI, behind all of this. I think that's something that has gotten me interested a little bit because we need funding to make these things work in the long run. So these are very interesting things to consider as we are moving forward. I take that as future steps that would be very interesting to consider. Uh, so overall, I think I'm very happy seeing the movement and the progress, and would love to keep seeing what happens in the near future.
Avneesh?
Yeah, so I'll just try to sum up and add a few points. So I think what Anirban mentioned, I think researchers should now start focusing more on quality of study. And sometimes with the advent of large language models, it is quite tempting to just put out a paper or a publication. Please don't fall for that, because as you saw, it will further increase the burden downstream to actually review those papers. So just focus on quality. Validation evaluation, very big thing. Please focus on that area. It's quite untouched, I would say. Still a lot of scope there, especially with agentic AI coming in. Then I would say that multimodality, please also keep that multimodality in mind. Now we have more data and ability to harness different sources of data, so how you can incorporate multimodality into your study for better context. And finally, work with clinicians, try to understand workflows, whether actually your research will be able to translate into real world. All these things I think will improve, and what got us here won't get us there. So all these things, if we are able to incorporate into research, we'll have a good future for healthcare.
Yeah, no, I think it's we're living through very exciting times. AI is more accessible to all of us. I would also add that this is available. This particular publication to you is available via preprint. But when I think about the editors, the reviewers for various different journals, the barrier to peer-reviewed publication has increased pretty substantially. So you're right, Avnish. I think the level of publication that we are seeing are way more, if I wouldn't say mature, but more robust in their methodology. That's the expectation now to get it through a peer-reviewed publication. They're not asking for just simple experiments where you just take your board exam questions and challenge some of the clinicians with that and see what the results are. They're asking for multiple models to be used. They're asking for a different methodology. Beyond that, they want to see applications. They want to see what are the challenges with application of these models in real world. They want to see validation, proof. They also want to see, just like Anirban was talking about, and we have published this too. The ROI is a return on investment with the eye on sustainability. Because if it's too expensive to deploy or implement or sustain, then it's not going to last. So there is a lot of work around cost effectiveness of use of these models that is coming across too. So many exciting ways we can approach AI and healthcare research. I hope this publication and our prior publications provide you with the data. For your own healthcare specialty of interest, again, we provide the data as an open source. So just like Avnish did, you can filter through that data to look for what's going on in your healthcare specialty of interest, and very exciting times. So we'll, of course, come back with another edition of our year in review next year with our commitment to get it to you in a timely manner. But till then, thank you everyone for joining us. We will see you in April with a very exciting Datathon edition. Have a good day. Thank you all.
Bye.